I can't do this anymore, Lauren, my husband said, raising his glass at our dinner party. You're exhausting. Our friends went silent. I forced a smile and said, okay. Then my phone started ringing. My name is Lauren Mitchell, and I'm 36 years old. I work as a registered nurse at a busy urgent care clinic. Long shifts, sore feet, constant noise. The smell of antiseptic follows me home most nights, clinging to my scrubs and my hair. I've always been the steady one, the fixer, the calm voice in chaos. In my marriage, I handled the bills, the groceries, the plans, and the emotional weight. My husband, Eric, loved being the center of attention. Funny, charming, the one everyone admired. We'd been married 8 years. No kids yet. We were still figuring things out, at least that's what he told people. I wasn't rich or glamorous. I drove a practical SUV and wore scrubs more than dresses. But I loved hard. I stayed loyal. Lately, though, Eric had been distant, secretive with his phone, picking fights over small things. I told myself it was stress. The truth was, I felt him pulling away long before that dinner. I wasn't perfect, but I wasn't weak either. I wasn't rich or glamorous, but I had something they didn't expect. If you've ever been the steady one while someone else took the spotlight, you know how that feels. Subscribe if you've been underestimated in your own relationship. Tell me in the comments, have you ever stayed quiet when you wanted to scream? Click hype, and let's talk about that night. We were at our friends Daniel and Priya's house. Just 8 of us. Wine glasses. Soft music. The smell of garlic and roasted chicken filled the air. It was supposed to be easy, comfortable. Eric stood up and tapped his glass with a fork. Ting, ting, ting. I remember that sound so clearly. I think it's time to be honest, he said. I thought he was about to make a joke. Instead, he looked at me like I was a stranger. I'm not happy. I want a separation. The room froze. Priya's hand stopped halfway to her mouth. Daniel blinked hard like he misheard. I felt heat crawl up my neck. You're controlling, Eric continued. You make everything about schedules and responsibility. I need someone lighter. Someone muttered, wow, under their breath. I kept my back straight. If that's what you want, I said quietly. He laughed under his breath. We've grown apart. She's more like a roommate. My phone started ringing inside my purse. Once. Then again. I ignored it. Eric smirked. See? Even now. Always work first. I stood up slowly and stepped into the hallway. My hands were shaking when I answered. Hello. Lauren, this is your doctor's office, the nurse said. Her voice was tight. We need to discuss your test results. It's important. My heart dropped. I had done blood work earlier that week after feeling exhausted and dizzy. Is it serious? I whispered. Please call us back as soon as you can. I walked back into the dining room, pale but steady. Eric looked annoyed. You don't have to make a scene, he said loudly. I'm not, I replied. I sat down and picked up my glass like nothing had changed. But everything had. He moved out 3 days later. No tears. No real conversation. Just boxes and slammed drawers. The apartment echoed after he left. The silence felt thick, pressing against my ears. That night, I saw his social media post. A black and white photo of him staring out a window. Caption: choosing happiness. Mutual friends started acting strange. Slower replies. Shorter messages. One of them texted me, maybe you pushed him too hard. I stared at that message for a long time. Pushed him? I was the one holding everything together. A week later, I found out there had been a brunch. Everyone there except me. Eric apparently said, she didn't even fight for us. When Megan told me, my chest tightened. I wanted to scream that I had fought for years. I just didn't fight publicly. Then came the money. Eric called one evening. I want half the savings now, he said flatly. Don't act innocent. I know you've been hiding money. I almost laughed. I handled the accounts because he didn't want to. Check the statements, I said. Everything's there. That's when I noticed charges on our joint credit card. Hotels. 2 different weekends. Out of town. My stomach turned cold. The distance, the sudden cruelty. It all lined up. Meanwhile, I went to my doctor's appointment alone. I sat in that quiet exam room, paper crinkling under me, heart pounding. The doctor smiled gently. Lauren, you're 8 weeks pregnant. The words didn't feel real at first. Pregnant. I nodded slowly. Eric had told everyone we weren't even trying. I walked out of that office with a folder in my hand and a storm in my chest. I didn't tell him. Not yet. Instead, I started gathering things. Bank statements. Credit card reports. Screenshots. I stopped crying. I started organizing. My silence was no longer shock. It was strategy. What they didn't know was that I document everything. At work, I chart details for a living. Dates. Times. Exact words. Accuracy matters. I went back through months of phone records. I found messages between Eric and a woman named Tessa. Nothing subtle. Hotel confirmations forwarded between them. Can't wait to finally be stress-free, he had written. The first message dated 5 months before that dinner party. I saved screenshots to a secure drive. I printed copies and stored them in a folder. Then, I found voice memos on our home assistant device. One night, while I was on a double shift, he had said, I just need an exit plan. I can't look like the bad guy. I replayed that line 3 times. I never confronted him. I just collected the truth piece by piece. And then there was the medical file. My pregnancy confirmation. Blood work. Ultrasound appointment date. He had walked out while I was carrying his child. He told everyone we had grown apart. He never mentioned the affair. He never mentioned the baby. I had proof of both. I had a plan they never saw coming. I wasn't going to beg. I was going to wait. I called my childhood best friend, Megan. We've known each other since we were 14. She picked up on the first ring. What did he do now? She asked. I told her everything. The dinner. The woman. The pregnancy. There was a long pause. Then she said, don't react. Prepare. Megan works in corporate law. She thinks in steps. In outcomes. She came over that night with takeout and a legal pad. We sat at my kitchen table under the harsh, white light. I showed her the screenshots, the receipts, the voice recording transcript. She nodded slowly. He thinks you're passive, she said. Use that. She helped me find a strong family attorney, a woman with sharp eyes and a calm voice. Meanwhile, Eric grew bold. He started bringing Tessa around mutual friends, posting photos without tagging her, letting people guess. He told Daniel, Lauren and I were basically over for months. Then he filed for divorce. He requested spousal support, claiming emotional neglect. I actually laughed when I read that line. Emotional neglect. Megan squeezed my hand. One mediation session, she said. Let him think you'll fold. So I agreed. Eric walked into that meeting confident. He had no idea what was waiting for him. The mediation office smelled like stale coffee and old carpet. Neutral walls. A long wooden table. Eric sat across from me, relaxed, almost bored. Let's keep this simple, he said. We split everything. Clean break. My lawyer glanced at me. Is there anything relevant we should discuss before finalizing terms? She asked gently. I nodded. My hands were steady. I slid the first folder across the table. Printed screenshots. Dates clearly visible. Eric's face changed. That's private, he snapped. My lawyer replied calmly. It establishes timeline. I placed the credit card statements next. Hotel charges highlighted. You used joint funds, my lawyer added. Eric shifted in his chair. His jaw tightened. This is ridiculous, he muttered. Then I took out the final document. I laid the medical report on the table. I'm 8 weeks pregnant, I said evenly. The room went silent. Even the air felt still. Eric stared at me. You're lying, he whispered. I slid the ultrasound appointment confirmation toward him. I found out the night you announced our separation. My lawyer's voice was firm now. Abandonment during pregnancy will absolutely impact proceedings. Eric's confidence cracked. He looked at his attorney, then back at me. We can work something out, he said quietly. I met his eyes. Now you want to talk? He had built a story where I was cold and controlling. Now he saw the truth laid out in ink and paper. If this went to court, everyone would know. The affair. The timing. The baby. He leaned back, defeated. The power had shifted. And he knew it. The final settlement looked very different from his first proposal. Financial stability was secured for me and my baby. I moved into a smaller home closer to my clinic. It wasn't fancy, but it felt peaceful. I painted one room soft yellow. A nursery. Megan helped me build the crib, laughing when we messed up the instructions. Some friends reached out quietly. We didn't know, they said. I nodded. I didn't need apologies. I needed peace. Eric tried to reappear once. I want to be involved, he said. I kept my voice calm. We'll discuss that through lawyers. I wasn't bitter anymore. I was clear. He thought silence meant I had nothing to say. He didn't realize I was gathering everything. If someone ever embarrassed you in front of others or walked away when you needed them most, you know that sting. Share your story in the comments. Were you left to carry everything alone? Subscribe to stand with others who refuse to be humiliated in silence. Click hype to help this story reach others who need it. Your story has power. If you felt a connection to mine, please subscribe and share your journey in the comments. Every hype you give this video helps empower someone else. Thank you for being here and for listening.